and welcome to a brand new video. And today we're here at Tower Bridge in London and we're going to go behind the scenes on the bridge. Welcome to the famous Tower Bridge in London, often confused with London Bridge, which is the next bridge down the river and not as iconic looking as this one. Before we begin our behind the scenes tour, let me take you back in time with a brief history. Plans for a new river crossing began way back in 1876, with the City of London Corporation requiring a new crossing without disrupting river traffic. A public competition was launched to find a worthy design, with over 50 entries submitted. The River Thames at this point would have been very busy with river traffic, carrying cargo to and from the Pool of London docks just beyond the bridge. Whichever design was chosen, river traffic would have full priority over any other method. It took until 1884 for them to find a suitable design, drawn up by the city architect Sir Horace Jones in collaboration with Sir John Wolfe Barry. It took 8 years and 432 construction workers to build the bridge, starting with 2 piers built on the riverbed to form the construction of the towers. The towers were built from steel and clad in Cornish granite and Portland stone for protection against the elements. When it was completed in 1894, it was the largest and most sophisticated bascule bridge ever built. Upon opening, the nearby Tower subway suffered due to lack of custom, as Tower Bridge was free to cross. This eventually led to its demise in 1898. The bridge is 940 feet in length and 213 feet high for each tower. In its first year, it averaged 8,000 vehicles crossing and 17 bascule lifts per day. Now it has over 40,000 crossings and only lifts on average 2.7 times per day. Tower Bridge even had some high-level walkways constructed so that pedestrians could still cross if the bridge had been raised for river traffic. But these walkways were eventually closed in 1910 due to lack of use and the unsavoury folk that used to hang around in them, as people were happy to wait and watch the bridge raise instead. The bridge is now a world-famous landmark and attracts many tourists daily. So when I was offered the chance of a behind-the-scenes tour, I made my way to London as fast as I could. So let's get straight on with it and head into the former operator's booth. Well, here we are in one of the control rooms on Tower Bridge, and you can see the bridge right behind me there. Just people flowing over it and traffic. And this control room is one of 2. There was one on the other side as well. But this is where all the levers are to control the lifting mechanism for the actual bridge in the middle. So obviously both of those sections rise up pretty much up to the top of the walkway there, and all controlled, and you can see some of the lights here as well, but all controlled from a lot of these levers, and apparently they can control both sides of the bridge from this one room here.
One would be for the small engine and one would be for the big engine.
Okay.
Then we would have a brake, then we would have those nose bolts in the middle of the bridge.
I have no idea what half of this does. There's a lot of things for barriers and signals, and signals for ships, signals for pedestrians, signals for cars, traffic. Yeah, a bit of everything in here. But yeah, fantastic view across the bridge right here, and everybody's staring at me in this box, trying to work out what I'm doing and if I'm going to lift the bridge. Oh, we've got an iconic London red bus just crossing the bridge there, which reminds me of a famous story from years ago about the bridge rising whilst the bus was crossing, and apparently the bus jumped across the gap in the bridge as it was rising. He said I can touch one of the levers to open the bridge. Obviously it's not going to work because everything is disconnected these days, but it's nice to just pull it and try it, like a railway signal. And the other one here. Imagine if the bridge started opening behind me, but it won't because it's disconnected. All these dials would have been to show the oil levels and for them to check on to make sure that everything was as it should be down below. Yeah, I was just saying, this is like a tram controller. It does look like one, and it operates like one. So we're now in the engine room for the bridge. This is what powers the bascules to lift up and down, obviously. And we've got two different eras in here, because just behind me here is the original steam engines, which would have powered the bridge up until 1976. And on this side, we've got the brand new system, which powers it today. So this is the old steam engines here. You can tell the old Victorian look of the motors. So these were steam powered and used water pressure to power the actual spindle here, which has been severed right there. So it would have turned this spindle and that gear just behind it, which would have been on the end, which then fed through here to control the bascules, which we'll see a bit later. Whereas today it's two electric motors now that do the work, and it's powered by oil pressure from these brand new motors here. Like I said, since 1976. And you can see the actual drive shaft there as it heads on through the wall. Yeah, so the old and the new. Look at the size of this cog here. So this is one of the original cogs that would have turned the spindle to power the lifting of the bascules. Look at these massive steel gears here. It just looks like a massive steam engine, doesn't it? It really does. And can you imagine the noise and the smells as it was going round? And you can see some of the old cables at the top there as well. If we just look in this corner, you can actually still see the drive shaft there as it heads through the wall. And when we head downstairs, we'll see the actual bascules with the weights on underneath, where it would have pushed them underneath the road to lift the drawbridge or the actual bascules. So a drawbridge, in case you didn't know, is lifted from above, whereas this one is pulled down below. So it's not a drawbridge, even though people call it a drawbridge. It's actually a bascule. I've just noticed this little contraption here, which is in the engine room, and that's for the engineers. If they were in here, it would indicate whether the bridge was up or down and lifted around. They could see if they needed to get out the way. So this is the original boilers, the steam boilers, as you can just see above if I just lift you up there. So now these look like the Titanic boilers, don't they, with the three big doors on them. If you look in there, you've got your coal that would have been shoved in there to power the steam boilers. So yeah, it's amazing to think all that technology and all that effort and engineering that goes into all this just to power the bridge, which is no longer used today, like I say. And check this out for Victorian engineering. I love the colours on the old Victorian steam engines and things. So these, again, two engines there, just below the road deck, which is directly above us. Now for all you steam engine geeks out there, you'll love this. Everything's still running or working today, but no longer used obviously for the bridge. Like I said, it's all modern now, electric motors using oil. And just through the other side they've got another one as well. So this is the second one. Now only one runs at a time today for demonstration purposes, shall we say. Yeah, here's the second one. So you just look at the size of these engines, just all to lift one side of the bridge, which is very, very over-engineered, as everything was back in the Victorian times. Oh wow, just check this out. So we've just headed into the bascule room where the giant weights, so that's underneath the actual bascule bridge. Oh, the traffic, you can hear it bashing over above us. These weights here swing down towards me and down this way to lift the bridge upright. You can see how well illuminated it is in here now. Yeah, this is just below river level, somewhere about where the bottom of that rail is in the wall there. So just below river level, depending on obviously if the tide's in or out. So you've got these brick steps here, which are just mainly for decoration purposes, nothing else. Yeah, and the giant bridge above me, it's so hard to show you how big this room is, but that is one of the arms from the road bridge. Like I said, you can hear all the traffic bashing around above us, and you can see the mark in the wall there of the pattern that the bridge takes when it comes down. So if you can imagine, this section drops down and the bridge on the front section, which will be this way, lifts up. And this is the clearance room in here for the bridge weights to drop down and pull it down. But it all is powered from the engine rooms that we showed you, which were right up there at the top. And the motors that powered the mechanism to swing the bridge down, that's just amazing. I'm trying to portray just how tall this room is. I'll probably say 50 feet above my head, and you can hear all the water trickling down the walls, and again, traffic above us. But it is something else. That is so weird. Can you hear the traffic now? I can hear it on here. Yeah, all the big buses and lorries and everything above us. Like I said, if you just look down there, you can see a lot of water on the floor because it has been raining outside, so a lot of that will probably be coming through from the road deck and also from the river, which will inevitably leak slightly through the bricks and the earth. So we said the river is about this level here, more or less, when it's at high tide. And we've got to watch where we're walking in here because there's a lot of oil all over the floor. They've put these mats down for us, but inevitably oil's going to leak through from the mechanisms, which will be at the top up here. So obviously it has to be greased and oiled quite often, and a lot of that will drip down. Yeah, this is definitely my favourite part so far. We just look at that Victorian engineering from 1894. So to just put it into context, it opened the same year as Blackpool Tower. So yeah, 130 years old this year, and it celebrated its anniversary this year. And yeah, still going strong, still running today, and still an icon of London, even though back in its early days it probably wasn't. Only today it's got a few modern upgrades, and a lot of it's automated, as you would imagine, and electric motors and things like that. But it still works, and it's still here today. So let's head down. We're now in the bottom section, so you can get a nice wide-angled look at that huge mechanism there, or the weights on the bascule. I'll just pan you down again. You can see where I was stood on the ledge just up there where the guys are. And then you've got this room just underneath it here, which will be like a collection area for water and things like that. So I believe the weights stop just short of the stairs just here, because it doesn't do a vertical lift. It's about 80 degrees, something like that. Now, just one more thing before we move on. If you just look right in the corner there, you'll see them small contraptions on both ends. So they are the brakes for the bridge. So they are holding the bridge and stopping it from, or the bascule, and stopping it from moving down in case anyone wants to do anything by accident. But yeah, they are the actual brakes holding all that weight above. Right, we just made our way upstairs, and we're now literally underneath the road deck here, as you can see. A lot of the rivets in the steel there. And if I pan you down, look at this. So this is the chamber yet again from above this time. And you can see where the bridge deck right above us here would swing down there and then lift on the other side. Just look at these fantastic colours here. So this colour isn't the original. It was actually like a brown colour when it first opened, and then they painted it for the Queen's Jubilee, I think in the 70s, and it was blue, white and red, and they've kept it that colour today. But there are some parts that we can apparently see later on that show the original brown colour of the bridge. So in case you were wondering, this is a bascule bridge. Now bascule comes from the French word which means seesaw, so you can guess what it does. It's like a seesaw, and that's why I said earlier on it's not a drawbridge, because the drawbridge is actually from above, so it's lifted up rather than pulled down. So here we are on the road deck. And this is the bascule arm here, right in front of you. So this is the section that would have lifted up, and we were underneath, just down there in that huge chamber. And this is the section that would have lifted up in the air, one of two obviously, all the way up to about this level here. And you can still see the little gap in the middle of the roadway over there where it splits. Nothing too exciting, but just in case you've not been on the bridge before. Okay, so we're now going to head up the bridge and onto the old pedestrian walkways up here, which now have a glass floor in the middle. So I'm looking forward to seeing everything from above. So we've just headed up the lift and we're now at the top of the pedestrian walkways. And here is a good example to show you the original colour of the bridge. So that, instead of the blue, was the original colour on opening of Tower Bridge. So like a browny, chocolatey colour. And then today, it's more this royal blue here. And here we are on the pedestrian walkways, one of two. So you've got the east and the west. You can see the other one just over there. And it's identical to this one, obviously, but you get the different view looking across the City of London and this way towards Canary Wharf and everywhere else. We do have a glass floor coming up down there, which we'll take a look at soon. Yeah, these were the original pedestrian walkways. So when the bridge was lifted, people could head up the stairs or the lift and head across here to get across the bridge without having to wait for the actual bridge to lift and lower downstairs. And also, worth mentioning as well, the original Tower Tunnel is under the river, just a few hundred yards further up. That was made redundant when the Tower Bridge opened. So when they opened this bridge, that was no longer used because that was the original pedestrian route which charged you to cross. This was absolutely free. And it's just worth mentioning as well that even today, river traffic under the bridge is completely free, including if you lift the bridge, they can't charge. It was put into law, or into the Tower Bridge Act, when it first opened, that they can't charge any water-based traffic, basically, under the bridge, and they still can't to this day. You get a good view here of the glass floor. Ooh, as you approach it, that's quite scary. It's like the Blackpool Tower one. You can just see down onto the road deck down there. Shall we take a walk over? Now this will be a good point to show you the actual split in the road deck down there for the bascules. You can see the line there. So that's where the two arms would lift up either side here. Now we went into the south side there, so we were underneath the road deck, just under there somewhere, in these giant chambers which now form part of the actual breakwater down on the river there, look. You can see the curve. So we were inside those massive chambers in there. It'll be fascinating to see the bridge opening from up here, but it doesn't open very often these days. Yeah, it feels so weird standing on there, even though you know it's perfectly fine. And apparently it can hold the weight of 10 elephants on this glass. So easily done. Yeah, it's still strange walking on the glass. It helps if you don't look down, you just concentrate on what you're doing. Just check out the marvellous view you get on this side, so you can see straight into the heart of Canary Wharf that way. And obviously the River Thames. We've now reached the south side of the bridge, and again you can see the original colour scheme in here for the bridge, like the chocolatey brown colour. And just look up there into the ceiling, I never noticed that, but that is one of the towers, or the roof of the tower on the south side. You can see the steel framework in there, and also the wood roof. So can you just see on the girder there, we've got two workmen statues which are representing the riveting gang who used to put the rivets in the bridge, all the hundreds and thousands of them, because they are absolutely everywhere. And it wasn't an easy job to put rivets into steel. Okay, we've made it onto the other pedestrian bridge now, so you get a different view, obviously, into the City of London, and you can see the Shard on the left there, the BT Tower in the middle, and the walkie-talkie and looking down into London. So this one is slightly different. It's the same thing, obviously, but the glass floor here also has a mirror above it as well. So it's a bit more disorientating. So here we go, here's the glass floor again. But this time we have a mirror above. There we go, if I look up at you, you can see me now in the mirror. And you can see me stood on the glass floor. That is really disorientating to stand there and look up at that. In case you're wondering why there's a bale of hay there, or a bundle of hay as they call it. It says there, by law, a bundle of hay has to be suspended from the bridge when work is happening to alert ships that there is less room to pass under the bridge than normal. So there you go, close up. Some of the rivets covered in paint now, but there is just thousands and thousands and thousands of them all over the bridge, which obviously back then was the preferred method to fix things together, whereas today they use other methods like welding. It's just worth mentioning while we're up here as well, you can actually feel the bridge, or this walkway, just bounce slightly when the bridge moves, a bit like Blackpool Tower. If you remember when I was at Blackpool Tower, you could actually feel it swaying ever so slightly. And I have done on the Humber Bridge before as well. So yeah, it does move, and it's designed to move, obviously. So we're taking the harder option. We're now heading down these stairs, which is definitely the easy way. We got the lift up the one side, and we're heading down the stairs on this side. Yeah, I just wanted to show you a bit more of the architecture inside the tower here. So again, you've got the original brown colour scheme on all the stairwells. And you can see part of the building there, look. So that's one of the windows on the tower, looking over towards the bridge there. And then the view, there we go, straight down. So like you can see on here, it is steelwork inside the towers. And then it's stonework, the Portland stone on the outside, and bricks as well. So yeah, it's not all stone and brick inside. There is actually a lot of steel supports. We're just being told as well, you can get married on one side of the bridge in one of the towers. They do weddings, but because each side of the bridge is two different boroughs or two different councils, only one side, and I'm not sure which, is actually registered to do marriages on the bridge, which is there. Another interesting fact for you. We've just reached a mezzanine level here in the tower. The nice piece of steel architecture there, look. So you don't realise that they've got this steelwork in here behind the windows, so all you see is the stone, and you think it's completely stone and brick inside, but it isn't. It's riveted steel just like that. And I do love as well the old lamps. They've got the actual original lamps in here as well. Like I said, these were originally the pedestrian walkways across the bridge, so you could just enter them from the street and head across the bridge and then back down. But today it's part of the tour. Well, there we go, we've reached the end of the tour, and I hope you enjoyed the video here at Tower Bridge in London. Again, somewhere I've wanted to do behind the scenes for a long time. But a big thank you to the Tower Bridge team for giving us the opportunity to go behind the scenes. And if you'd like to check it out yourself, they do official tours here as well. And you can just head onto their website and book those if you visit in London. But a big thank you to everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next video next week. Bye for now.